With breaking news that the Irish government is to launch a legal case against the UK under the European Convention on Human Rights. Ireland is unhappy at a section of a controversial new law which grants immunity to former soldiers and militants involved in violence during the Troubles in Northern Ireland. In a statement, Ireland's Deputy Prime Minister, Micheál Martin, said the following: the British government removed the political option and has left us only this legal avenue. The incorporation of the European Convention on Human Rights into Northern Ireland law is a specific and fundamental requirement of the Good Friday Agreement. Since the UK legislation was first tabled, the government have been consistent that it is not compatible with the Convention. I used every opportunity to make my concerns known and urged the British government to pause this legislation. Our chief political correspondent, John Craig, joins me now. John, very complicated this. Simplify it for us, if you would.
Well, this is a major diplomatic row, but there will be plenty who say this was always quite predictable, because that piece of legislation, it's known, the shorthand is the Legacy Act. To give it its full title, it is the Northern Ireland Troubles Legacy and Reconciliation Act. Now, it was only passed in Parliament here in London, in Westminster, in September. Now, why it's controversial is because it sets up something called a commission, which is modelled really on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, going back to Nelson Mandela's time. Now, what it basically does is to say that those accused of whether it's terrorism acts or other crimes during the Troubles, if they cooperate with this new commission, that's been set up under this act, they could get immunity. Now, that has infuriated victims groups in Northern Ireland in particular, as you might expect. And the Northern Ireland government, the Irish government, has been battling against this for some time. Now, there have already been some legal challenges in court in Belfast brought by victims groups, but now we've got the Irish government going full into a big legal battle with the British government. And of course, it's the European Convention on Human Rights that is at the centre of all this, because the Irish are saying that this act passed by Westminster is incompatible with that. And of course, that is the convention, of course, that many Tory MPs, as we've heard over the last few weeks when we've been talking about the Rwanda bill, want the UK to pull out of. So this is potentially quite a serious row, and it creates a real problem for the British government because at a time when so many of their MPs are saying pull out of the European Convention on Human Rights, here we have the British government plunged into a battle with Ireland, a neighbour and ally, over its jurisdiction. So we're awaiting a response from the UK government, but it does seem that the British government is likely to strongly resist this, because they went to the trouble of passing this legislation, the Legacy Act. I mean, just to summarise what it does, the Legacy Act it establishes this independent commission for reconciliation and information recovery, they call it. Limits criminal investigations, legal proceedings, inquests, police complaints and so on. Extends prisoner release, always very controversial when terrorism's involved. And it also has the power, this commission, to grant immunity from prosecution for crimes amounting to gross human rights violation, such as killing or ill treatment of civilians. So suddenly, the Troubles are back on the political agenda. The British government, all these years after the Belfast Agreement, has been plunged into a major row with the government in Dublin.